Okay, so hello and good morning my friends, I hope you're all doing well. It occurred to me the other day when I was up on the mountain filming the Black Stork chicks. If you saw that video, I'll put a link up here somewhere to it if you haven't seen it already. I had to use my poncho as a makeshift mosquito screen, and it occurred to me that you might find it useful, interesting to know what my favorite accessories are for wildlife filmmaking photography when I'm out in the field. And to kick us off, my number one item would be these binoculars. I carry these everywhere with me. They're in the car. I take them with me in my backpack whenever I'm out on a hike or anywhere in the field. These always come with me. And it always surprises me when I find photographers using their camera with telephoto to try and scan an environment to either pick out a bird or a creature and identify it, because it's just such a cumbersome way of doing that. Using binoculars, the magnification firstly is usually more than your telephoto lens is going to be, so that's a bonus. And holding them for any length of time up to your eyes is just so much more comfortable and less tiring. You're also using both eyes, which helps. And it's not always just about scanning stuff that's far away. I use them here, for example, this morning. I've been scanning these rocks, which are literally 4 or 5 meters away from me, for snakes in amongst the crevices here where it's really dark. I can actually pick out the snakes with these a lot better than with the telephoto lens. And also in terms of observing distant stuff, it allows you to better observe behavior from a great distance. Hopefully it allows you to spot something before it spots you. You can see how it's moving, which means that you can predict movement and position yourself in a better place to actually record, photograph that animal. So all in all, it's just a thoroughly useful piece of kit to have in your bag with you. So I can't recommend them enough. So these ones that I have are the Nikon Monarch 10x42s. I'm not sure this model exists anymore. But I'll put a link in the description below to these ones or something equivalent to these. These ones are small, as you can see. They have a rubberized exterior, soft eye cups. They're just very comfortable to use. Super tough. They get lots of abuse from me, throwing them around in my car, in my backpack, and they have survived now for 10, 12 years, something like that, and still going strong. So yeah, number one on my list, binoculars. Okay, so I thought I'd talk about the second item on my list, down here by the stream, where I'm hoping to catch a glimpse of a kingfisher. And that is my tripod, which is more photographic kit than it is photographic accessory. But I thought it important enough to actually mention on this list. For me, stability is absolutely key, both for stills and film, but more especially for filming. You can get away handheld for a lot of shots when shooting stills, but for film work, having a stable platform to shoot from is absolutely paramount if you want to get broadcast quality footage. And that being the case, my choice of tripod is this Rolly, I think it's called the Rock Solid Alpha, which weighs about 3 kilos, so it's not a light solution. It has a load capacity of 65 kilos, which might be a little bit of overkill, but I know that it's going to hold any kit that I put on it absolutely solidly. It's not as good for filming as a dedicated video tripod would be, but then again it's a lot lighter to put in your pack and go out on any hikes. Carrying a 10, 15, 20 kilo video tripod for me is just not an option in that scenario, plus they're super expensive. So I prefer this lighter one. It does create some tremor sometimes. If there's a strong wind and the wind grabs a hold of the lens, I can get shake on it. But you learn to work around these things. So this tripod is a platform head tripod. It doesn't have a center column, and I use a bowl head on top, which means that I can just plant the legs down approximately level very quickly, and then find actual level by loosening the bowl and then just maneuvering the camera, manipulating the camera to find absolute level with the spirit level on the tripod head. And that way my horizon when I'm doing panning shots is always going to be straight. What else? The other benefit of this tripod is, again, because of the lack of the center column, it means that it can drop really low. So just by opening the legs, it has 2 stages, or 3 stages I should say actually, with the normal one. So that's the second stage, and that's the third stage up there, which is almost flat. So it can drop down to 14 centimeters on the ground, which means I'm very easily eye level with whatever creature I'm photographing, whether it's on the water or land. There's the kingfisher. Hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, so I can drop it down really low, and it has a maximum height of 1.90 meters as well, so I can raise it up really high if necessary. If I'm shooting high up, I can have it up above me and I can frame stuff up really easily. What else? Yeah, I think that just about covers the tripod. Like I said, an important piece of kit. Do invest in a decent one. Firstly, to make sure your camera is secure and safe. There's no point putting $10,000-15,000 worth of equipment on a $100 tripod that can barely hold it. You do risk your kit dropping and being damaged. And secondly, the stronger and more stable the tripod is, then the better your footage, more stable it will be. So yeah, number 2 on my list, tripod. Okay, so to illustrate my third item on my list of favorite photographic accessories for wildlife filming photography, I've come down to the embankment of the river here, where there's nesting bee eaters and they're flying around hunting for insects and what have you. Is my beanbag, which I absolutely love. The beauty of a beanbag is that it is just so fast to deploy, and it gives you an instant stable platform from which to shoot. So in my case here, I'm using the car as a hide. I can just pop it onto my windowsill here, stick the camera on it, just lift the scrim above the lens, and I'm good to go. Same is true if you're shooting at ground level. You throw it on the floor, on the ground, put your camera on it, and you're good to go. No fiddling around with tripod legs, trying to get a straight horizon and all the rest of it. You can just rest your camera on it. It's pretty stable. I'm happy enough to let go of it even, and I absolutely love shooting from my beanbag. Quick tip on the stuffing. You can use anything you like pretty much, from sunflower seeds beans, lentils, macaroni, whatever you want, you can stuff it with. And the pro tip that I can give you is to use inserts. So use a Ziploc bag or an old stocking or something like that, stuff that and put that in. It keeps the beanbag a lot cleaner on the inside. It means you can switch out the stuffing a lot more easily. So if you're going on a hike up the mountain and you want to throw this in your bag but you want it to be lightweight, you can switch it out for fills with polystyrene balls. If you want it to sit heavily like I prefer, you can put bags in there with beans. Again, when you're traveling, it means that you can empty it really easily, quickly, cleanly, flat pack it with your clothes and your luggage, and then when you arrive on location, quick visit to a local supermarket and you can fill it very cheaply again. So yeah, favorite item number 3 is my beanbag. Okay, so items number 4 and 5 on my list of favorite wildlife photography, filmmaking accessories for in the field. I thought I'd demonstrate to you whilst I'm down in this beautiful forest this morning, setting up my trail cam, DSLR camera trap. And number 4 is my netting and scrim, which I have different varieties. Now, when you're out in the field filming or photographing wildlife, concealment is absolutely necessary if you're going to get those close-up, intimate shots, because even if you have a large telephoto lens, 600 with teleconverters, 1.4, 2 times, etc., in all likelihood you will still not be close enough unless you're concealed and able to get physically close to the animal to get those frame-filling shots. And especially with videography, when you need to be able to achieve those shots to tell the story about the animal's behavior, whether you're focusing on the talons or the claws, the plumage, the fur, the eyes, whatever, anything that you're trying to do and show in close-up, you're not going to be able to achieve it unless you are physically close to the animal, despite having a long focal length lens. In addition, if you're shooting in hot environment like this and humid, you're going to get a lot of heat distortion in your lens when shooting at very long focal length. So it's another reason to try and get close, is to be able to use shorter focal lengths without being affected by heat distortion. Yeah, so the netting, I find it super useful in terms of setting up an improvised hide. I do have a pop-up. I do like using my pop-up hide. 2 things with that: it's cumbersome to carry because of the battens in it. Make it rather a large profile to carry. It's not heavy, but it is large, and also it's not waterproof. So if I'm going to be shooting and there's going to be any chance of a downpour, I can't rely on that to keep me dry and to keep my kit dry. So having a netting like this, camouflage netting, which you can just set up super quickly in any kind of environment really, is super useful. The other thing I group with this one is my scrim. I find this amazingly useful, and again, these are all very inexpensive for carrying around in your pack. So these bits of scrim, I use it when I'm using the car as a photo blind. I can drape this over the window. I use it as a mosquito net, just by throwing it over me. It also can be used to break up your own silhouette. It's very useful for that. I tie it around my neck. It keeps me warm in the cold, keeps mosquitoes out of my neck. It's just all in all super useful bits of kit that you can use for your wildlife photography. So going along with this this net, as item number 5 is my poncho, which you might have seen in my previous video filming the Black Stork chicks. These ponchos, military ponchos, are fantastic. It's just basically a Gore-Tex sheet with a hood in the middle, so you can throw it over yourself, over your kit, keep everything dry. Bonus in shooting in hot weather like this is that if you're caught in a downpour, you throw it over yourself and it's still very well ventilated, rather than putting on a fitted waterproof jacket which you're going to sweat buckets in. So you can throw it over yourself and keep everything dry. You can use it as an emergency shelter, as I'll show you in a second, and also as an improvised hide, which has the benefit of being waterproof. So you could even throw it over your pop-up hide if necessary to make that waterproof. And again, it's super easy to put up. It has these corner grommets, which again I use with bungees and paracord to hook onto things and set it up. So let me just do that, and you can see how easy it's done. Okay, use the other bungees where I put them here. You can also pin down with tent pegs the back corners if you don't have anything to attach the bungees to. And as simple as that, you have your waterproof shelter. You could even put your walking pole up in the middle to make sure the water runs off. Or you can use paracord and hook it up to or another bungee and hook that up. You can also throw over your scrim and use it in combination. To create a very effective hide that is well camouflaged and waterproof. So, items number 4 and 5 on my list: the scrim and netting, and also the poncho. Seeing as it just started pouring with rain, I thought I'd come out and use this opportunity to record this piece to camera with the last item on my list, which is a rain cover for my camera and lens. There are so many different versions of this. You can buy some more tailored than others according to focal length of the lens you want, with sleeves on it, with windows on the back, etc. For myself, I find this simple rain cape to be the best option. I know camera manufacturers these days, they do an amazing job of weather sealing the cameras and lenses, but for myself, I'm a bit paranoid about this sort of thing, I guess, and I like to protect my investment. There is so much money tied up in this equipment that to throw over a rain cape like this really costs nothing, and it literally just throws over the top and attaches with the Velcro around the lens hood, nice and snug. It'll still zoom with this without affecting the camera. I have access underneath. There is a window on the back as well for seeing all your controls. The other thing is, in terms of weather sealing, cinema cameras such as this one have large vents for cooling, so they're not as weather sealed as well as a DSLR or a mirrorless camera might be, so they're definitely worth protecting more than you might a DSLR. And yeah, that just about wraps up my list of favourite gear. I hope you found it useful, informative, entertaining. I'd really be interested to know what might be on your list, so please do drop a comment below. I've also put links to all this gear in the description below, as well as a link to a full article on my website, also with links to all of these items, so feel free to have a look at that as well. And it just remains for me to say thank you so much for watching, especially if you've lasted this long into the video. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.